Welcome, I am Absintian, and this is Downrange. This was the first film I was able to watch this year at the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. I'll put the link down in the description below to the film festival's main site, just so you can, if you want to check it out, and maybe if you're close by, come on by. I'm usually there every year. It's been my 5th year there. So, Downrange is from the same director as Midnight Meat Train, Ryuhei Kitamura, which I'm probably butchering that name horribly, so forgive me for that. I am very bad at pronouncing those. So you're probably expecting a lot of gore, and that is very true in this one. The concept of this film is very simple, is a group of people are driving to, I believe, a concert, and they have a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. What they find out very quickly is that the flat tire was purposely caused by a bullet, by a sniper hidden somewhere around them. So their only safety is on the other side of their SUV. Because sure, there's trees on either side of them, but the distance that they have to travel gives them more than enough time to be shot by this sniper. Now, the characters are not well defined. They are just defined enough to be able to kind of work with them, but there's only 2 that really are defined enough. There's Karen and Jody. Now, Karen is shown to be a army girl. Her upbringing was based on a army family, so she's the one that kind of calls the shots when things start going down. She attempts to keep the rest of the characters safe by giving them advice on what to do while they're trapped there. And then there's Jody, who is the absolute opposite. She has absolutely no clue how to handle the situation, even though she is obviously not anyone that could handle a situation like that. But it's her that tends to have more of the growth throughout the film. The other characters was a couple that started the carpool, and I really like the stress reactions with them, especially once they're in that situation and trapped. It's like how the character changes and acts totally different, and sometimes just totally just loses their mind in such a stressful situation. So I greatly appreciate what they did with the characters in such a very small space, and just letting the characters actually react to the situation in mostly a realistic way. The only problem is later on in the film, you get some characters, some other characters are introduced that suddenly start acting a bit over the top, and that doesn't match with how the other characters were acting beforehand. So that was kind of a break where some of the secondary characters, not the primary characters, some of the secondary and even tertiary characters just act totally different and almost make the movie change its theme for a moment away from the more grisly aspects into kind of more silly. Now, the camera work is very strong in this film. We have a drone shot that kind of sets up the location that they're in once they find out where the sniper is, and which is really nice because the camera work, before the characters know where the sniper is, you don't see where he is. You don't see where he's perched at all until the characters see him. And then after that point, the camera always seems to have that location in the shot, somewhere in the background. So you just kind of always see and kind of feel that fact that the characters are stuck there, and kind of feel that sensation of they're always thinking about just where they are in relation to where the sniper is. And I think that was very, very well done. I love that camera work for that. And then the practical effects are very strong, like as compared to Midnight Meat Train, which had a bit of CG added in there that was pretty obvious, but it was kind of more fun. In this, it's a bit more realistic, and the practical effects are much more prolific in this film. And I really like the idea that they did not just go for a simple you're shot, you're dead type stuff. This has much more drawn out death sequences that kind of has the character suffer a bit more. So it's a very interesting, creative look at these different ways of these characters die, which is kind of morbid to think on that. But for a movie like this, it's really fun to kind of see what the director wants to do and what the special effects team do with the different ways that these characters are going to die. And then we have some good crashes, things like that. So very all practical, which works very well for this film. The overall story, it does have a constant tension throughout the whole thing, which is very nice. All the characters are just stuck in one spot through most of it, and they're trying to figure things out. Some characters can't handle the stress, some characters can. But what I really liked is just that they did do a good job of keeping that tension throughout the whole thing, other than a few spots. There was a couple spots where they had a wolf, for instance, come in. And that sequence, I think, is supposed to kind of have that contrast between what the sniper's doing and what a wild animal would actually do while these people are trapped. It's kind of a weird comparison thing, and the scene just drew on so long that it just kind of like it brought down the tension a lot, and it didn't really need to be that long in that. I was at first just kind of like afraid of what's going to happen next because we didn't expect the wolf to appear. But yeah, otherwise the pacing just kind of messed up on that. And then, without spoilers or anything, there is in the finale a much more drawn out scene that just really didn't need to be there. It's that moment when you have a film that you're watching and a character is doing something that's so absolutely stupid. Either stupid or just totally not what the character should have done. And the movie's just lingering on that moment. And it got to the point where I was just like, just continue, please. And there was no point in that being there, and it just was totally out of character for what was happening throughout the rest of the film. So I think that just kind of ruined that finale there. Other part of the finale, I gotta say, the absolute end of the film is a great, like, it finishes off just as sharply as it starts, and I think that's a very beautiful way to end it. So knowing all this, if you want to take a look at this film, you can find it on Shudder, actually, since it is a feature, I believe, for them. And I'm going to put a link down to Shudder below. I'm not paid by them at all. It's just I've been a subscriber for them, and I really like what they've been bringing out recently. So this film is one of those, and so if you want to check it out, definitely there. I'm not sure if it's going to distribute anywhere else. So while the film does have some flaws with some of the pacing, as I mentioned before, as well as the little bit of a stumble during the finale, it was still a fun watch through the whole thing. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.